Although we didn't get any major balance changes to the meta this season, the addition of Overkill is going to impact the meta in a big way. Prior to Overkill's addition, for the most part when we were ranking our top 10 guns in the game, we tried to evaluate those guns based on how they did across all different ranges. So we couldn't really justify putting a gun at the top of the list if it was really, really good in the close range, but struggled in the mid to long range and vice versa. The addition of Overkill means that you can choose one really strong close range gun and one really strong long range gun to use at the same time, which means you will actually have a chance to compete with USS 9 abusers who refuse to put the gun down. Today we're going to be breaking down the top Overkill loadouts you guys need to try. Drop a like if this video is helpful. Big shout out to COD Mobile for sponsoring this video. You can download the game using the link in the description, and we'll go ahead and hop into it. Now, it's important to keep in mind going into this, there's not necessarily any number one best combination, but for these 6 combinations I did my best to take guns that are really, really strong in the close range and might have some downsides when it comes to long range or a lack of bullets, and combine them with guns that are really, really strong in the long range. These aren't necessarily the 12 best guns in the game, but when combined together, they'll give you an advantage in just about every gunfight possible, assuming you're playing them properly. First up, we got the PKM alongside the 30-round BP50. Some of you might be surprised to see the PKM in here. One major reason for it is it actually has infinite 4-tap range and the potential to 3-tap all the way out to 36 meters. It's absolutely one of the best LMGs in the game. Some of you, if you've watched our CDM streams, have likely seen Solo starting to use it in some situations. And it works as a great duo with the BP50 30-round magazine because number one, obviously with the 30-round magazine, you're going to tend to run out of ammo pretty quickly. And number two, the majority of the nerfs that we saw to the BP50 to take it out of the number one spot in the meta were to reduce its overall range. This combo allows you to play with prime BP50 time to kill without having to risk using up half of the bullets that you've got in the entire gun just to take on one long-range gunfight. Next up, we got the ultimate fast-firing combo with the Fennec and the MG42. One of the big reasons that the Fennec was one of Elevate's main guns in the World Championships is the fact that it kills ridiculously fast up close because of how fast it fires. But naturally, as a traditional SMG, the main downside of the Fennec is that it doesn't have great bullet spread accuracy and really struggles in the mid to long range. We combo this with another super fast firing weapon in the MG42, but since we're building out primarily for the long range, we don't necessarily want to throw on all rate of fire attachments. The 13mm 125 mag gives you bullet speed, damage range, body part multiplier, which means more consistency whenever you're hitting limbs and lower body, and also better bullet impact, which means other enemies are going to have a tougher time with long range engagements. We stack even more accuracy with the VOD 682 barrel. Because it's an LMG, it's also going to have a slow effect when you hit anywhere on the body, which is why Disable's a phenomenal option. And to give a little bit more rate of fire, we do throw the recoil booster on there. Next, we have what I would consider pretty much the ultimate meta abuser combo with the USS and the SKS. I'm sure nobody's surprised to see the USS in here. Given the fact that it can outgun the majority of both ARs and SMGs in the close to mid-range, there's not really any reason not to use it other than that you're sick of it, which is absolutely true for me. This has been the meta in our top 10 guns video for the last 4 or 5 videos, so I don't feel like I need to explain a whole lot of the reasoning behind it. We combo it with the SKS, which has been the king of the long range in COD Mobile for many, many years at this point. This is definitely an extreme accuracy build to make sure that you're not taking a whole lot of hit flinch or dealing with a whole lot of recoil. Some people might wonder why I opted to put the USS with the SKS instead of the Type 63. Biggest reason is that while I feel like the Type 63 is a better all-around option and gives you a better chance in the close to mid-range engagements because of its mobility and its rate of fire, it does struggle with consistency more in the long range. And because we got the USS to cover all of our close to mid-range gunfights, we don't really have to worry about that. Instead, we can go purely for accuracy and consistency, which you find in the SKS. Next, we've got one of the better aggressive combos that we have out of all the options on the list. I'm assuming this is one that a lot of Garena players in particular would enjoy, naturally the KRM being the most beloved gun in Garena. This is pretty much the go-to KRM build that just about every shotgun main uses. No stock and speed up kill, giving you the maximum amount of mobility while Marauder Suppressor and extended barrel extend your range, and a 5mm laser to help you with your hip fire accuracy. Although if you don't necessarily like giving away your location unnecessarily, you can swap that for the 1mm, which doesn't have as much upside but also doesn't have a visible laser. You combo that with the Oden, which is actually good in pretty much all scenarios. A lot of people only think of it as a long range option, but it's really in the close to mid range that you're able to maximize its ability to 2-tap. With that being said, it's more than capable of holding its own in the mid to long range, and especially in those long range engagements, if you manage to hit a headshot, you can still secure a 2-tap, and the 3-tap time to kill, if you do achieve it, is not the end of the world. Also, it's not in the game yet, but we may potentially see the M1 Grand become an alternative to the Oden. Its 2-tap consistency isn't quite as good as the SKS, but I believe it actually has a faster rate of fire than the Type 63 and rivals that of the Oden. From what I've seen, the Battle Pass irons are really solid as well. That's one that certainly could be an alternative in this combination. Next up, we have the Nightmare Search and Destroy loadout. Those of you who only watch my YouTube video content might be surprised to see this, but if you've been watching our CDM streams, you won't be surprised to see the HS-0405. You pair that with the Tundra, which is far and away the best bolt-action sniper in the game, and you are going to have a lot of people raging. Starting off with the Tundra, naturally, you want to build for maximum ADS speed, which is why we have the Tiger Team Barrel and the Serpent Wrap. One potential change you could make is swapping in the Tactical Suppressor for the Bandit Steady stock, but having that extra 30% strafe speed does make it a lot more difficult for opposing players to hit you, and FMJ helps you with wallbangs. The HS-0405 has quickly taken competitive Call of Duty Mobile by storm with ridiculous one-tap potential, especially when hip firing. It doesn't have the same rate of fire as the KRM, but the thing about the current meta is the majority of gunfights that you're going into, especially in the close range, you're not going to have time for a second shot anyway, which is why the consistency of your one-taps becomes a priority over that second shot. Obviously, that does leave your mid-range engagements wide open, but for a player that knows how to properly manage angles, there shouldn't be many scenarios where you're not able to force a close range engagement whenever you know where the opposing player is, and the Tundra will allow you to scope out longer angles. Our last loadout, and my personal favorite on the list, is the combo of the Type 63 and the 12-round burst CX9. The Type 63 has quickly become one of my favorite guns in the game. While the SKS is no question more consistent in the long range, the massive gap between the rate of fire on the two guns is a huge game changer for me, and attachments like the Airborne Wrap allow you to ADS a lot faster and also back you up on hit flinch with an extra 50%. Naturally, getting that extra fire interval from the Strike Team Barrel is huge, but if you want to build for maximum rate of fire, then you can also go with the Titanium Barrel, which I've seen a lot of Type 63 leaderboard players using as well. 30-round magazine has almost no downside, and disable for marksman rifles works exactly the same as it does for LMGs, slowing by hitting anywhere on the body, which means it's going to be easier for you to land shots. And then we run with that the absolute psycho mobility build of the 12-round burst CX9. The 12-round burst magazine, when you're one bursting, actually has the fastest time to kill in the game, with an effective time to kill when one bursting of 116 milliseconds. Even though this is built for full mobility, that range goes all the way out to 20 meters, and because we're running the no stock attachment, which gives you an extra 4% movement speed, and also the CX23 mag for an extra 2%, this SMG actually has faster mobility than any melee in the game. Naturally, the one downside is the fact that the magazine only holds 12 bullets, so you have to be incredibly accurate. To me, this is one of the best, if not the best, close range option in the game when running Overkill, just because of that movement speed. And I am now remembering that it actually has a 35% boost to reload time, which is way faster than any other gun in the game, which is going to cost you some bullet spread accuracy, but in most 20-meter gunfights, it's not going to make that much of a difference. So that does wrap things up for our top 6 Overkill loadouts in Call of Duty Mobile for this season. Let me know which one you guys are rocking in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.